to be in Monterey County next week. And these operations are conducted at no cost to the owner of each residence. So yeah, we'll be in Monterey County next week, and that's about all I have.
Great. Thank you very much for that. So, and are we thinking next week, the beginning of next week? I know a lot of folks in the county are curious about all the work that's going on in Santa Cruz County and needing to come here as well.
Yes, we did start in Santa Cruz, starting in Santa Cruz this week in order to get our team sort of calibrated before we start moving into Monterey. I don't have an exact date for Monterey for next week, but the plan is to make that information available as soon as we have it. And we'll also have that information available on our website.
Terrific. Thank you very much. And also, if you would stay on the call in case we've got some questions afterwards, that would be great. We're also hoping to have someone with FEMA on the call. We had been in conversation. I'm great. Who have I got?
This is Glenn Bowles.
Oh, hi, Glenn. Thanks very much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what's available for wildfire victims through FEMA? I think people think the fires are over, and maybe assistance is over as well.
No, it's not. In fact, it will continue for at least another month. If people have damage to their property, or if they also had to evacuate and were in hotel rooms, they would both be eligible to apply for FEMA assistance. They can either visit the disasterassistance.gov site, that's one word, disaster assistance, or they can download the FEMA app on their computers, or they can call directly at 1-800-621-3362. And this assistance will follow from the EPA cleanup and also the phase 2 cleanup. So when disaster survivors incur these types of costs, they can apply to these different, well, they're all actually one location, but it's 3 different ways to apply for disaster assistance.
All right, thank you. And I understand that you have gotten applications from Monterey County and have actually, FEMA has been able to support some fire victims.
That is correct. As of this morning, we had 468 applications, which are being processed as we speak.
And I also, for people who may not also know that there is rent assistance available, have you been able to assist people with that?
Yes, there are. Approximately 40 people right now have applied for and gotten rental assistance. And that's something else they can apply for if need be.
All right, thank you. And then if you would also stay on the call as we move on to our other presenters, I would really appreciate it. And now our last topic under recovery is assistance with the Small Business Administration. And Kevin Nguyen is with us. Thanks very much for joining us.
You're welcome, ma'am, and good afternoon to everyone. SBA comes into disasters. SBA comes into disasters to register with FEMA. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay. And we offer disaster assistance loans up. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Loans up to $200,000, business loans up to $2 million. Register with FEMA, fill out an application with SBA, sba.gov, you can. And we've approved over $15 million thus far in loans. And I'll be on the line afterwards as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Great information. And now we're going to move on to COVID. And we've got Rick Encarnacion from our Environmental Health Department to give us an update on the mask ordinance enforcement efforts that have been going on, and then a little bit about some new messaging that's gone on about live music. Thanks, Rick, for joining us.
Thanks, ma'am. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rick Encarnacion, Assistant Bureau Chief for the Environmental Health Bureau. Just to give you an update on the mask ordinance for the unincorporated area of our Monterey County, which was passed at the end of July. Since the passing, our staff from our Environmental Health Bureau have visited multiple facilities. We've done a total of 1,671 visits, providing education and some supplies for businesses to assess their compliance with our mask ordinance. Throughout that time that we've done multiple visits and education and outreach, we've issued no citations. Thankfully, people have been mostly compliant. It may take a couple of visits, but I think for the most part, the public and the businesses especially are very much on board with all of our efforts to control the COVID issue through the wearing of masks and the promoting of wearing of face coverings and masks. So again, we've conducted a total of, so far to date, 1,671 visits. We're continuing to go out as a reminder and providing information as well as enforcement for the mask ordinance in the unincorporated areas. And so far it's going pretty well. I'd also like to provide you a update on our most recent message regarding live music. As a reminder of the state guidance for restaurants and the general public regarding live music and live entertainment is not being allowed, as it's in line with social distancing efforts, again, to control COVID. The whole purpose, again, for that is social distancing, promotion of social distancing, avoidance of long gatherings and gatherings in places of business, such as in restaurants. So we pushed out that message as a reminder. It's nothing new. It is listed in the state guidance. The guidance is available on our website as well as the state websites. And as soon as we can bring our numbers lower, we can hopefully make some more changes to help open up the economy. And with that, if there's any questions, I'll be standing by.
All right, thank you very much. I'm working on getting our social services representative into the meeting right now. So I thought maybe we could take some questions.
Test.
Kevin, we can hear you.
Test.
We can hear you, Kevin. So let's go ahead and take some questions now. I'm going to go ahead and look in chat, and if I see our social service rep didn't get the invite, so we're working on getting her in to talk about Project Room Key. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and take some questions. And here's a question for you, Rick, on the live music message. How does county health justify the California Department of Public Health prohibition on live music at restaurants? Does live music at restaurants somehow promote the transmission of COVID-19? And if so, how? And what tier would Monterey County have to be in for live music to again be allowed at restaurants?
Sure, that's a very good question. Just some background on our retail food safety program, our restaurant inspection program, which is the what we commonly know as, we're known as the health inspectors for the county. We're the same people that do food safety inspections, and these are all state law in our food safety code. So with the question regarding how does the county justify the County Department of Public Health prohibition for live music in restaurants, is that how we've related these efforts for the control of COVID as a health issue. And as with all restaurants that have health permits, they must comply with all applicable codes that are related to health, which the guidelines for COVID are related to health. And this also goes for pretty much all the basic requirements for hand washing, for ensuring safety of the handling of food. Another example that you may commonly see out in the public are for outdoor dining, ensuring that the tents that are being used are not fully enclosed. As we know, some of the control measures as stated by the CDC and the California Department of Public Health regarding the help to prevent the spread of COVID is to prevent gatherings. I believe the association with live music and entertainment is the prevention of gatherings for instance, in a restaurant. If you even kind of take a look at the issues with serving of alcohol, the intent is to have a meal and conduct the business and not promote a gathering type venue, which has been showed to contribute to the spread of the disease. So the issues that are the control measures that are stated in the state guidance is related to the health orders, which ties back to the compliance of the restaurant, which we regulate in the County of Monterey through our Retail Food Safety Program. And the other question about what tier
Yes.
live music, well, that would be dependent again on what the state, when they change. I don't believe, I believe the tiers do mention the allowances for the changes in the percentages of when businesses could have the amount of people indoors. But we would have to review the state guidances for the other methods. When it does change, we'll provide updates to the public.
All right, thank you very much, Rick. I've got a question here about playgrounds, and we don't have anyone from public health on the call to answer that question, but I can certainly forward that question for you. Our next question is for Kelsey. How do you see residents using the WIRT reports? Will it help them make decisions about rebuilding or perhaps preparations they need to make for winter?
Certainly both. I highly recommend that any homeowner, regardless of your affiliation with the River, Carmel, or Dolan fires, actively look at the hazards surrounding your home, either the home you're currently in or when you're getting ready to purchase or rent. There are so many resources available for people to constantly be aware of the hazards surrounding them. And so the WIRT report is certainly a tool for people when rebuilding, but more specifically, it's for the upcoming winter storms. So we encourage people to not just prepare in terms of having go kits and supplies for the winter like they normally would do, or that we recommend that they normally do, but it also provides specific details as how the residents can maintain their awareness, sign up for emergency alerts, and then physical protective measures, either to the structure or to the surrounding area. So ultimately, this is the first jumping off point, if you will, for preparing for the winter for communities that are downslope of the burn scar. In general, if people are wondering if this applies to them, if you look up and see a burned hillside, to some degree, you are at risk for debris flows or secondary or tertiary hazards as a result of the burn scar. If homeowners have, or if landowners find that there is significant burn around their home, or that there's a slope above their property, they can start here, certainly, but they should also look at hiring somebody to assess their property, or through the county-sponsored Emergency Watershed Protection Program, have the NRCS come out and look at the property to do an assessment. And we'll talk more about the Emergency Watershed Protection Program in the coming weeks once more resources have been made available. But that is certainly something that the county is developing presently.
All right, thank you very much, Kelsey. And we've got Lauren Suwansupa from our Department of Social Services on the line now, and my apologies for not getting the correct invite to her. She's got an update for us on Project Room Key, which has been a program that began fairly soon after the pandemic began in the county. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, hello. Thank you for inviting me. So the contract for the Project Room Key transferring over to the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers was approved, ratified to the Board of Supervisors yesterday. The transition is for the side of the program for residents who are at high risk should they contract COVID-19 and who are living homelessly. So that portion of the program was transferred oversight to the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers. Starting on September 9th, they took over that portion of the project. They will do coordinate program oversight, the hotel room management. Also, due to their network of service providers, they're also able to support wraparound services, which include housing navigation, as well as substance use treatment, some mental health services, and the housing navigation.
All right, thank you very much. And if you would stay on the line also for some, in case we've got some questions for you. Thanks very much.
Absolutely.
For that update. So I'm going to go back into chat and pick up with the questions that we had before we brought in Lauren. So going back to, this question goes back to the issue of live music, and for Rick, how exactly does playing an instrument pose a health risk to COVID? This reporter's wanting a little bit more information. And this also may not be an opportunity to talk about, this is a statement, this is a state issue as well.
Yes. Yes. As I mentioned before, it's not the act of playing an instrument. The guidance is provided to help promote not having gatherings. And yes, it is difficult in a place of business, especially for a restaurant that depends on turnover of customers and trying to get customers into the door and keeping them there. But in nowadays where we have these issues with COVID, there's this specific guideline kind of speaks to not promoting having a person conducting business longer than they need to. But it is a place of business. It is an element that helps people promote good business. But right now the state guidance states no live entertainment and no music. And the reasoning behind that, again, is not the act of playing an instrument could cause COVID, but promoting having business longer than what a person would need to do to have a meal. And I know it is difficult for businesses right now that are trying to stay in business. This is one element, having a meal at a restaurant is a social activity, and it's something that really strikes hard for the business. But what we're just trying to remind people of is every little bit helps in the control of this disease. There's all of these little ideas and thoughts that in hopes, if it's in practice, along with wearing masks, washing your hands, keeping socially distant, not going to work when you're ill, all these other little factors kind of play into a part in helping control this disease so that we can help get back and open up our economy. So again, it's not the act of playing an instrument, it's more of trying to help control not having long-standing gatherings in a place. The other question about some other venues that have live music are not restaurants. Again, just going off of the state guidance, special events and community events and street fairs, right now they're not allowed per state guidance. So again, we're just following the California Department of Public Health state guidance, trying to help locally and our businesses locally. These are the same issues, the same specific issues that businesses are, especially restaurants, are trying to keep up with. And for the businesses here in Monterey County, everybody, I can really tell you, we work in partnership with the industry. Everybody is on board, and everyone needs clarification on these specific rules. Again, like I mentioned, even the issues with the enclosed tents. Every now and then we have to kind of remind businesses, you have to make sure that your tents are not fully enclosed. And then there's the serving of alcohol. You can't have an open bar. The alcohol has to be served with the meal. So there's all of these little specific things that in hopes if put into practice. And also the state guidance mentions there should be somebody in charge that helps facilitate these guidance within the facility. So it is a little complicated. There are a lot of little issues, but hopefully when we send out reminders like this, it is just one thing that helps prompts businesses to think there's a lot of things that we need to do to keep up and help try to also set an example for the public in helping control this disease.
Thanks, Rick. And I think you were referring to in your answer, we had a question here about live music or entertainment prohibited at any public gatherings or community events. I think you were answering the question that some venues are not restaurants and are hosting live music, and is that is banned also, correct?
Again, what the state guidance mentions is there are no community events, no special events. And that kind of speaks to not just to restaurants.
Okay. And another question for you. Did the county or county health receive complaints about live music at restaurants? If so, roughly how many, and how many of those complaints were for restaurants on the Monterey Peninsula?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have any specific numbers, but we do receive complaints not only for issues related to not just having live music, but again, there's issues with people not wearing masks. We get multiple calls on enclosed tents. We have issues, even the same issues with people not even washing their hands. So yes, we do receive complaints. There have been some complaints regarding live music, but again, that's why the health department is here to help provide outreach, education, and if needed, enforcement of these issues.
And there was a tag along to one of these questions that how many requests have you had to allow entertainment? Have you been lobbied a bit on that?
Well, again, the health department, we issue health permits, not only for restaurants, but we also are part of that permitting process whenever, say when there's a special event or a street fair. So we don't have requests specifically for people wanting to play music. That's not within our wheelhouse. Again, the bigger picture here is, especially for what the Environmental Health Bureau has in terms of regulating restaurants and food facilities, a reminder regarding this issue.
And I'm not sure if anyone on the call can answer this question. This is an inquiry about drive-in movies, any change in drive-in movies being allowed. Is there anyone on the call for that? I am not seeing
Environmental
any.
health, what do you mean? If they don't,
So I'm
they
not
don't
seeing
regulate venues.
There has been no change in the drive-in movies. Drive-in movies are still allowed.
Super. Thank you very much, Karen, for stepping in. Here, Rick, I got another question for you. For areas hoping to do a carnival food event, are they permitted by the health department to have trucks or trailers serving food, but not from tents or booths? And what would be the difference?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, there are food facilities are not closed. There are rules that need to be followed, especially in light of COVID and the state guidances. Again, the community events and the special events right now are not being permitted by the state, whether it's booths or trucks or carnivals. I think what we need to do is review the state guidance and just be mindful of what the guidance is. And it's also understandable to try to understand why and the public health reasons behind all of these rules.
And so there's a follow-up question to that, which is, so drive-in movies are permitted, but drive-in concerts are not. And Karen, do you want to, and is that also just because of the concerts, the musicians involved? and I am not hearing Karen.
Okay,
And
so, yes, there's some discussion about what that may look like. So we're getting clarification from the state about that particular item.
okay, thanks very much. And we can, as information comes to us, we can send it out to everyone that's on the call and let people, let everyone know what we have been able to find out. I'm not seeing any more questions in chat, and I'm not seeing any other questions. I always say that, and a good one comes in. I think this might be for you, Rick. An area, one of our local fairgrounds said that they could hold a carnival food event, which would be allowed by the health department as long as food is served from trucks or trailers. They specifically could not get county approval if food was served from tents or booths. And the disparity may be confusing for venues and the public.
Sure, yeah. I'll follow up on that issue and try to find what particular event is being processed or not.
All right, thank you. Last call for questions from any of the people on the call? Not hearing any or seeing any. That will wrap up our briefing for today. Thanks very much for joining us. Our next briefing will be next week.